Hello everyone, Zelrant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be talking about pull priorities from this point going forward to about 6 to 8 months. This is kind of an update to my last one, as I like to try and do this about once a month to kind of keep people updated on what they might want to be saving their carrots for. Now, this is only going to focus on what I would consider higher priorities from this point forward, and so I will skip over quite a few banners, but it doesn't mean those banners are bad in particular. It just means they're not one of the big ones that most players are going to want to pull on. Like, of course, if an Uma is one of your favorites, then you definitely want to pull on them to make sure you get your favorite Uma so you can actually use them for winning champions meetings versus one that you don't like. So with that, we'll go ahead and get into it, and I will be covering both the Umas and the support cards. I'm going to jump back and forth between them. I'm going to try and stay around when they come out. I don't want to go through all of one all the way up to next summer and then jump the other one. That way you can kind of tell where they are in comparison to each other, because they use the same currency for the Umas and the support cards. So you have to plan around both of them, not just one or the other. So after Hishi Amazon, which is currently out, the next one that I would consider a big pickup, this is more of a heavier spender one in my opinion, but that's going to be the Uma Grass Wonder. And one of the big things that makes her great is she is, not only does she have a ton of heals in her kit, she's one of those ones that can do longs and not have stamina issues. And so like we've already seen with Gemini Cup, you probably saw a lot of people with Agnes Tachyon and Super Creek. Very survivable because they have heal ults. She's even better at that in the fact that her ult heal is 0.075 on the stamina recovery. And as you already know with the gold, that one is 0.055. And she actually comes with two other golds and her ult. So she can be one of those ones where you get really high speed, really high power, and you can not have near as much stamina that every other Uma has. And you can just kind of use her as that just wins by being able to have higher stats because you don't rely on stamina. But that's not the only reason to pull her as well, is the ult is actually a very good inherit versus we see with some of the other ones like Agnes Tachyon and Super Creek, is that, as you already know, a standard white gives 0.015, a gold gives 0.055. The inherit of hers gives 0.035. And so it's kind of a middle ground between a white and a gold. And one of the nice things is it's guaranteed if you have a parent. You use her as a parent in building your Uma for like a future long champions meeting, which is really nice. As you already know, probably with Gemini, most of us were trying to get cooldown on our Umas. And as you already know, that McQueen card, one, it sucks on the stats that it gives, but also you have that 50-50 chance of getting the gold. And if you don't get the gold, well, that runs dead if that's what you're relying on as one of your recoveries. So this one's a guarantee if you can get it on a parent. It's not as strong as a gold, but you can make it. It is good enough that it can work paired up with maybe another gold, depending on the champions meeting. So overall, very good unit, but I would say it's not a big must-have Uma. It's more, to me, it's more for your spenders than anything. And that's because some of the other stuff we have coming out around it. And so we have that, and then when we jump back, I think the next big one, the next big one's actually another Uma. And that's going to be the big one that I've already talked about. I think a lot of other people have talked about, especially when we were talking about Seiyun Sky having the best ult for frontrunners. Summer Maruzensky is going to be the big pickup if you want to actually have the meta frontrunner for about a year. I will say she drops off the meta pretty hard about a year out from her dropping, and we'll look at that here in a second. But she is very, very good in the sense that her ult, you can kind of control when it activates to a certain extent, because it's same reason if you probably already heard about with Christmas Oguri Cap, where it activates based on using recovery skills, which means you can control when hers activates. You have a similar thing with her in that once it's the second half of the race, as soon as she activates a heal, then she will run her ult. And she should be a front runner, so she has to be within the top 3. So very easy to activate her ult. And one of the big things she has in her kit is 777s, which you know exactly where that's going to activate. And so for specific tracks, that can be very, very good. But then she also has a built-in gold skill, gold recovery. So she just has one by default. Very convenient for especially the long and mediums, which she will be available before the next champions meeting, which is going to be a medium. We then have Mile Maven, which is a big gold skill to help them get the lead. If you've already been training your front runners and testing them out now for the Cancer Cup, you can see how important it is for your front runners to really get that lead so that you can just stay in the lead. Those mid-leg skills are probably the most important, more important than having high speed, because I'm seeing right now front runners with like 900 speed, but they got a crap ton of power and a crap ton of skills to keep them in the lead through the middle leg, that once they get Seiyun Sky's ult off or another big ult off, maybe like El Condor Pasas, even your faster Umas struggle to catch up to them. So very, very important, very big skill to have on her built in. Also has some other stuff built in here as well. And so she is definitely, if you're going to want to play with front runners, she's a big pickup. Like I said, though, one thing is she will fall off pretty hard in the future. And it's not because she gets power crept by Umas. She does get power crept by other Umas, like Valentine's Bourbon, which we'll talk about here once we get to her. But that's not what makes her fall off, because she's still useful, even when Valentine's Bourbon drops. But what really kills her is when the Summer Maruzensky, so the next summer, when that Summer Maruzensky speed card drops. And this is like a big must-have for your frontrunners card. And that's the negative. You cannot use a Maruzensky card with Maruzensky. And because this card is so good, if you use your Summer Maruzensky, she's going to be gimped compared to other frontrunners who are now able to use this card to help them out. And just a quick look at this card, what makes it great. I mean, it has groundwork built in, but frontrunners at this point are starting to have it built in as well. Valentine's Bourbon is one of them. Has a ton of frontrunner skills on it. It's a good speed card. But one of the big things I like about it is gain training effectiveness 5 per level of the current training facility. You need a lot of power and you're hitting power a lot, and it's level 5 now towards the end. Now you're getting 25 training effectiveness off this card. Whatever one she's on, she gives 5 training effectiveness to it. And everything else is good. It's just overall great card for her. You have Summer Runner built in. Everything you need on a front runner. And that is why this pretty much kills Summer Maruzensky at that point. You can still use her. You can still make her work. It's just going to be much, much harder to build a front runner that can compete without this card at this point, because everyone else is going to be using it. That's just to mention the power creep there. If you're one of those people that wants to wait a year out and you're just going to go with the current front runners outside of Summer Maruzensky, that is when she will fall off, just so you have the knowledge of that. From there, the next big priorities coming up here is not actually going to be an Uma. So right after Summer Maruzensky, so right after her. And this is where you're going to probably start to be hurting on pulls again. You might already be hurting on pulls if you pulled for Seiyun Sky. But right after her, we actually have some big support card pickups here. So as you can see here, we'll get up to the summer. So we have the summer cards. These come out at the exact same time as Summer Maruzensky around here. So we have the nice Nature Intelligence card. And this is going to be, you've probably already heard a little bit about this one. So if it'll let me open it here. I'll go on to that card. This is a big pickup. Now, you'll hear some say, and I'm going to say this is more of a whale pickup because another support card coming right after it. But one of the big things with this one, especially at MLB, is it has the ability to get, has in the unique effect, increases stat gains from races 5%, as well as race bonus 10%. So that's 15%. Very few of these cards in the game. And the third scenario, I think it's make a new track. You gain stacks, or you gain stats, not only from using the training facilities, but actually racing. You get a ton of stats from racing as well. And race bonus impacts that. And so you're going to want as much race bonus as you can get. And she's one of the few cards that can give you 15%. And so the general rule they say is like 50 to 60. 50 is mandatory, but 60 is preferred. And the only way you can get to 60 is having two 15% cards, and this is one of them. Now, this one also has some good stats. Intelligence cards are just good in general. You'll pair this one alongside Fine Motion when you're taking your double int cards. But overall, and it's got on your left too for your late surges, which is really nice as well. We don't need to go too in depth on this card though, but this is, in my opinion, a very whaley card. This is going to be one of the ones you're probably going to borrow when it comes to make a new track. And so I think for a lot, while it's I think a high priority card, it is very skippable for most people. And that is because right after it is the one that you're probably going to hear a lot of people, myself included, tell you you should pull. And that's when the next scenario comes out. We have a double new SSR card banner come out with Riko, Kashimoto, and Rice Shower. And So I don't need to go really into depth into the next scenario. We'll cover that when it drops. But the next scenario kind of works like team trials in the fact that you're going to have teams of Umas that you're building. Not only your main Uma, but other Umas as well. And Rice Shower and Riko kind of cover slots for that, so you can actually train your initial ones quicker to a certain extent. From what I've been reading on it, I'm trying to read the guides on it. So just know that they're going to help specifically to this next scenario coming up for that reason. We don't need to go into depth on it. Just know that it's going to be good for that. But not just that. What the cards actually provide is also very good. And that is when you look at Riko. She is basically like your Tazuna, but for the next one. And rather than being focused on speed like Tazuna is, she is all about your stamina. So initial stamina start versus the speed start. She has training effectiveness, energy cost reduction, all kinds of great stuff in here. Rushing Gale, ramp up. Nothing too crazy here, but the biggest thing that you're going to hear a lot of people talk about is going to come into her her events here. Just like how Tazuna gives you a lot of random stats, she does the same thing with the mood ups and all that, but a lot of stamina. She got 13 stamina. 13 stamina. 13, so just a lot of stamina coming out of her. Speed, stamina, power. You got energy. So basically an even better Tazuna. Stamina here. So all kinds of good things. We don't need to go really into depth to her. Just know that she's a very good card. And one of the nice things is you can make her work. Because one of the things, you get all the events regardless of her limit breaks. And from what I've been seeing, the advice is to at least get one limit break of her. And if you can get it to 2, that's when it really goes up. Because the last one right here for the level 45 is the initial stamina at 15. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, you get a little bit more everywhere else, but not too big. For the second scenario, you really only need 1, but 2 is the preferred one. And, but also, the nice thing is on this banner, another card comes out that you can make work as well, which is the rare equivalent of this. And if you pull all the way to 200 and you don't get any copies of this card, you can get the rare ones and the rare one and MLB that one. And that one can kind of be a replacement for this one. So even if you can't pull off getting multiple copies of this, just know you're also pulling for the potential to have the rare one MLB, which is pretty close to a limit break 1 of this card. So very, very useful. Well, that's not the only thing. This banner has 2 cards on it. Unlike with like the Super Creek banner, we had 2, and Tazuna was kind of the bad pick, even though I use it a lot. Super Creek was the target. You're actually pulling this because you want both the cards. This one is a good power card with the Rice Shower one, and so one of the big things from what I've been reading on the next scenario is you're not going to want to, at least not for the ones that aren't longs, bring stamina cards. So you have that Riku card that kind of covers your stamina needs, and now you have a Rice Shower power card that kind of does the same. It has increased stamina built into her right here, a bunch of good stuff for your power. But the biggest thing is she has Swinging Maestro in her skills from events. So now you do not need, you don't need to have Super Creek for it. This is kind of your Super Creek replacement for the second scenario. And so overall, pretty good. Nothing too crazy on the skills, in my opinion. I mean, it's just like the Rice Shower card. It has some of those Pace Chaser debuffs, but the biggest thing is really Swinging Maestro and the fact that she can give you stamina. Her paired with Riko kind of cover your stamina requirements in the next scenario versus needing dedicated stamina cards. It's kind of what I'm getting at with there. And so that is that on that card. And then let's see here. Where am I at? Man, I get lost very easy in this. So we just covered the Riku one. And so nothing too crazy from here on. The next big one is going to be something that I think everybody's been saving up for if you did not MLB your Kitasan Black, which will be the rerun of Kitasan Black. This is where, if you still have pulls at this point, you can get 200 pulls. Go ahead and MLB it here, hopefully. Do 200 pulls and hopefully MLB it. And then you also have a bonus that El Condor de Pasa's power card is on here as well. This is one that's been out since the beginning, but it is a good card to pick up. If for some reason, like me, and I got Tazuna, like 4 copies in my 400 pulls, maybe you get enough to get 2 limit break or 3 on this one in 200 pulls. A very useful power card that can be very nice. Has some greens on it. If you're like me, you're starting to use power cards on your your front runners, and having some of the ones that you might need for activating Groundworker built in is just a nice little convenience, and overall has training effectiveness, power, and all that. So just a nice little bonus on top of this banner. But Kitasan Black's going to be the one. That's where you're going to try and MLB her at that point. And for the next one, it's going to be an Uma. And so this one's going to be not long after Kitasan Black. So it looks like it's going to be actually 2 banners later. And that's going to be the Christmas banner. I think this one is an Uma that everybody knows about as one of the must gets. And that is going to be Oguri Cap Christmas. And she is absolutely broken. Now, one thing I will say is this is going to be a very easy to skip banner if you're willing to spend any money in the game. But she is one, if you're going to be complete free to play, this is the time to pick her up. And Christmas Oguri Cap is very, very, very good at the specific races she is good at. And one of the nice things, she has nice stats here on speed and stamina. But what makes her really good is her ult here, is how you can kind of control it. As I've already kind of talked about with Maruzensky Summer, she's got something similar in that if you activate at least 3 recovery skills, then in the second half of the race, your speed and acceleration will increase and you will recover more stamina. So not only does she have a stamina recovery built in right here, she also increases acceleration and target speed, and you can control when it triggers. So think about like with Swinging Maestro on Gemini Cup. You pretty much knew it was always going to trigger on that corner. But we have the same thing that Summer Maruzensky has within her kit. Not only do we have like Gormand, but we have that 777s, which is a very controllable skill in when this one's going to activate. It's always activating in the same spot, so if you have other skills right before it, bam. As soon as this one hits, ult triggers. And so really, really nice. There's no other conditions. Just get those 3 heals off, and you're in the second half of the race, and her ult goes off. Very, very easy to control. Has built in this, has all the skills needed, necessary to pretty much control it, with the 777s being the big one, as well as having innate experience, which is good for your longs, a nice little gold skill there, and overall has Winter Runner, Nakayama Race Course built in from events as well. Little nice bonus there. But yeah, just really, really, really good. Now, I did mention very easy to skip if you're willing to spend any money in the game. And that is because this is like right before we're going to get our first opportunity to spend money on a selector for the first anniversary. And so there is not a champions meeting, from what I can tell, where you're going to be able to immediately take value of her before you get that selector. And so what you can do here is, if like I said, you have to be a spender in the game because this is going to be a paid selector. But you can skip Oguri Cap and then go ahead and buy the selector and make her your selection. Because at this point, we're not too far off. We're like, what, 6 months, or probably 4 because we're accelerated away from Summer Maruzensky falling off when that card comes out. All the other big ones that'll be coming out are after it, and you can only use it on any Umas before it. You can't hold on to it and wait for new Umas to come out to select them. It only allows you to get Umas that came out before them. So there's really no other, unless there's like another one that you want that you maybe missed here to pick up. Nothing is really meta defining other than maybe Seiyun Sky. If you skip Seiyun Sky, she may be the one that you want to pick up. But other than that, if you've already picked up Seiyun Sky, you've already got, you're already set and everything else, Christmas Oguri Cap is the very easy pickup for that card. And so my advice will actually be to skip her, even though she's very good. And Biwa Hayahide is nothing too crazy. You're pulling on this one. If you do pull on this one, you're pulling for Oguri Cap. And so that's pretty much it there. And that pretty much tops off the year. So another nice options here, but nothing too crazy from that point forward. And so we'll take one more look at one last banner that'll be coming up, and that's going to be the next big front runner. And that is going to be, when we go into the next year, Valentine's Day, the Mihono Bourbon Valentine's Day. And she is going to be the like next big front runner after Summer Maruzensky. The nicest thing immediately that you'll see that she has that's really good, she comes with groundwork built in. So if you're like me and you've been cycling in trying to get that groundwork built into your parents and grandparents, no worries with her. She just comes right off the bat with it. And she has front runner savvy. You already have one of your greens needed to activate it. So now you just need 2 more. So whether it's the 2 speed skills, one of the stamina ones, or like the guts one, whatever. 2 other green ones, and you can activate it. Very, very nice. She has Escaped Artist, which, if you already know, is Seiyun Sky. One of the really big mid-leg ones to keep yourself in the lead. Really nice. Got Concentration built in to prevent those, late starts. Now, the nice thing with Concentration, especially because you're going high wit with your front runners, if you can't get your other greens, you can technically Concentration can count because it activates immediately. For groundworks, you can technically have 2 built in. I just don't like relying on Concentration/focus to activate it because it can fail from a wit check, even if you have high wit. But do know you technically have 2 if you want to count that as one of yours. And then you have Wet Conditions in one of her events. That one's immediately another green if the conditions are not firm. Then that's really useful. And then you technically could have 3 right off the bat for her for certain champions meetings. Then you have Early Lead, which is nice. Speed Eater's a really big one to keep yourself in the lead. Like, as I'm doing the cancer runs, the biggest thing I'm knowing is mid-leg skills. You need to have the mid-leg skills to keep your Uma in first place once they get it. As I'm noticing in the Cancer Cup, as we're doing test runs, those of us that have properly built front runners, as soon as they're in the front, they don't lose it. Like, they get in the front and then they keep it. All the other front runners are pretty much dead at that point. And so that's why these things are so nice. You got that. Really good. And then, I mean, she has a good ult to top it kind of off. During any middle leg corner, if you detect another girl right behind you, your speed will increase and stamina recovery. So think just like Smart Falcon and why hers is great. Similar to that. Except you get stamina recovery and increased speed. I think Smart Falcons is Excel in speed. I would prefer Excel in speed, but it is what it is. It's got stamina, nothing too crazy on that, but the increased speed is really nice. She's already got the acceleration, if you're properly building her, to push up to that speed, to move away a little bit, to keep yourself in the lead. And then it's speed, stamina, and power on the stat bonuses. Very, very big Uma. If you're going the front runner meta, she is that big pickup on the next Uma banner. And then let's see if there's any more on the support cards I kind of want to cover. I've already touched on the Maruzensky one, so we won't have to go with that one. This one's quite a ways away from the Mihono Bourbon one, so I don't need to go any more depth onto that. But I would say the next big one, and this will be the last one, we'll top it off, and that's going to be when the Fine Motion Kawakami Princess one drops. This is going to be our first opportunity to pull for getting your dupes of Fine Motion, which still will have value at this point. Although I won't call this one a must-have, must-pull. You may have already used the free selectors from half anniversary and that, because we will be getting selectors for support cards in that, as well as a currency to add on dupes to them through the new rainbow currency you'll earn through events from the half anniversary. And so this may not be a big one to pull on because it's been out a while. You may have already gotten copies from other support card banners. Kind of my situation. I've got Limit Break 3 Fine Motion from when I pulled on Super Creek. And so, but if you're close to MLBing, this is going to be your opportunity to do that. And then to top it off with the last one, though, which comes right after, and which is why you may want to skip Fine Motion, is this one right here. It's got 1 SSR speed and then 3 SRs coming with this one. 2 big cards here, although I would say this is more of a whale one, but it is kind of a big pickup on 2 big cards here. You have Narita Top Road, and this one is going to be very, very good for the third scenario as a speed card, but really only good for the third scenario, and that is because gain increased training 1 per 10,000 fans up to 200,000 fans. All you're doing in that third scenario is racing. So you're going to get that 200 fans very, very quick. I mean, not doing nothing but racing, but you're going to be doing a crap ton of it. So you're going to immediately max out that. On top of the other stuff that she comes with already, she has speed bonus, friendship gauge, hints. When you look at her skills here, firm conditions, Long straightaways, all that there is. Pace Chaser Savvy. Good luck, good track team. This is when we start. We'll start seeing these on some Umas as well. But she does have an advanced green. So this one is a power. It's basically a gold green. Your power and speed stats are increased by 60 in races with good track conditions. So this is like your wet conditions, but better because now it's speed and power. And you can get that from an event on this card as well, which is really, really nice. So overall, a great card, but like I said, this one's going to be focused on the third scenario. So you have that, but then you also have the other big card, and it's an SR on that banner, which is going to be Admiral Vega, I believe, is the one. Make sure I'm looking at it. Yes, this is an SR Guts. After the first anniversary, Guts cards will be good. Guts will have a use. It's not like it is currently. There'll be a buff to it, and it'll actually have a different benefit to you, and you'll actually be using your Guts cards at this point. So don't think it sucks because it's a Guts card. Things are going to change. But the biggest thing is, just like the nice nature card I talked about on this SR, increased stat gains from races 5%, and then race bonus 10%, so it's a 15%. So this is going to be your other one to use within the third scenario to get that race bonus as high as you can. Because like I said, you get you're doing like nothing but racing, and you get a lot of stats from racing, and this is what impacts it. So overall, very good card here. And you'll pretty much want, if you have this one at MLB, you're going to want to use this one when it comes to that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. We won't go any farther than that. I think that's a good amount of time from now to kind of cover important cards coming out, as well as Umas. Now, like I said, that didn't cover everything. I will be covering all Umas as they come out still. If you have a favorite, don't be afraid to not get them. They all can win the champions meetings. It might just take a little bit more work, because a lot of what makes certain Umas good is convenience, is one of them. So they make things more convenient in terms of getting skills and that, or making it much easier to get certain stats. But then also the alt, which you can do inherit, which makes it maybe not as strong, but it's still usable. So you can get all the stuff on your favorites to make them work realistically for anything. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That covers everything, and we'll kind of close it out here. But yeah, if you like my content, if you like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.